Hey guys, thank you very much for joining my live stream, or if you're watching the recording, thank you very much for watching the recording. Today's topic, or actually that will be two topics combined. First topic will be general Czech visa types based on the validity of the visa, so on the duration of the visa. And the second topic will be the difference between the employee card and the blue card. And if you haven't done that yet, please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, or follow me on Facebook or on TikTok or Instagram, everywhere. I really appreciate this help, especially if you find this. Thank you for the like, Niraj, because I really appreciate this support. Every like, every heart you send, or every subscriber and every follower, that's something very nice for me. So thank you very much for your support, and let's jump into the topics right away. So the first topic is Czech visa types based on the validity of the visa. There are a couple types of Czech visas based on the validity. The shortest one is so-called short-term visa, also known as a Schengen visa. This visa, the maximum stay allowed is 90 days. You always need to have some official purpose of stay. So there are kind of plenty of purposes of stay, but you always need to have some official purpose of stay, and you cannot really extend the short-term visa. If you spend here 90 days in a row, you need to leave and you can come back only after another 90 days. Some countries have the exception that they don't need the short-term visa. They can stay here for up to 90 days without any visa required, as long as the purpose of their stay is tourism. So then the second step, if you take it seriously with the Czech Republic and you want to stay here longer than 90 days, you can apply for a long-term visa. The maximum validity of the long-term visa is 1 year, but it can be shortened based on the documents you submit, and it cannot really be extended. If you want to stay longer than the first year or than the 1 year, you need to switch to a long-term residence permit. Long-term residence permit can be issued for up to 2 years, and it's already kind of like a plastic biometric card with your fingerprints and photos on it. The previous types, the visas, short-term visa and long-term visa, those are just stickers in your passport. The long-term residence permit is a residence card, biometric card with your details. It's extendable, so if you want to extend it, you can do that. And if you've been here for longer than 2 or 5 or 10 years, depending on the purpose of your stay, you can also apply for a permanent residence permit, which is kind of a game changer for non-EU citizens, because it gives you plenty of additional rights, and it's also a step towards the citizenship if you want to get the Czech citizenship. And that's the last thing, actually, Czech citizenship. If you've been living here for long enough, generally either 5 years of having the permanent residency or 10 years in total, given that you have at the moment the permanent residency, you can also get the Czech citizenship. So those were the types of visas or residence statuses for the Czech Republic based on the validity of the visas. Now I'll go a bit deeper in the particular type of the visa, and then we'll go to the topic of the blue card and employee card differences. Hi, Amit. Nice to see you, and nice that you're joining. So let's start with the short-term visa. Short-term visa, also called or known as a Schengen visa, is basically a visa for those nationalities who are not allowed to come to the Schengen area without a visa. Because there are some nationalities like Americans, Australians, Canadians, Mexicans, and like 30 more that are allowed to come to the Schengen space without any visa required, as long as the purpose of their stay is tourism. So if you're an American and you want to come to Europe for 3 months to just travel and enjoy, you can do that. You just board the plane, and on the border, on the Schengen border, so the first Schengen country you enter, they just give you a stamp with a date, and from that date, the 90 days start counting and you can stay here. But this only applies to, say, 40 nationalities in the world. All the other nationalities need a short-term visa, even if they want to come for 1 day to watch a concert of Madonna, if she's still performing, I don't know. But even for short-term stays like this, you need a visa. And that's what the visa, the short-term visa, the Schengen visa is for. And you always need to have some official purpose of stay. But the short-term visas are governed by the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs. and they are kind of generous in the purposes. So there is the standard employment, business, family, like visit of family. It can be study purposes. It can be also like medical treatment, or it can be culture, it can be tourism. There are kind of plenty of purposes, but you always need to have some official purpose of stay. You apply for the short-term visa at some Czech embassy, usually in the country of your origin or in the country where you reside in somehow long-term. Then once you come here, or once the visa is approved, it's usually a pretty short process, can be like a week or two, usually for the short-term visa, depending on the country, but usually it's like that. And the visa is usually issued. If it's your first visa, it's usually issued just for the planned duration of your stay. So if you've booked a trip for 10 days, you will only get the visa for 10 days. But if you come here and you leave after the 10 days and you apply again, then usually the ministry or the embassy gives you a bit longer. They give you the visa, for example, for 1 year, like a validity of 1 year, but you can always spend here 90 days at a time. And if you then like come back here for 90 days, you don't do any problems, and you come back and leave and you don't overstay, you can get the visa even for 2 years. So for 2 years, you will have an open Schengen visa, and you can travel always for 90 days, then leave for 90 days, and you can come back again for 90 days. So that was the short-term visa. Then a long-term visa. If you plan on staying in the Czech Republic for longer than 90 days, and especially if you want to have some like money-making purpose of stay, you need to apply for a long-term visa. The maximum validity of the long-term visa is 1 year, but the visa can be shortened based on the documents you submit. So for example, one of the required documents is proof of accommodation. But if you submit proof of accommodation, for full 1 year, you will get the visa for a full 1 year. If you submit proof of accommodation for half a year, you will only get the visa for half a year. Also, the similar system with health insurance. You need to buy health insurance once you are approved, but you need to buy health insurance for the full validity of the visa. If you provide shorter insurance, the visa can be shortened. But the maximum validity is 1 year. It cannot really be extended. It can only be extended if it was issued for shorter validity than 1 year. So if you get the visa for 6 months, you can extend the visa for another 6 months. But if you get the long-term visa for 1 year, then you cannot extend it. And if you want to stay longer, you need to switch from the long-term visa to the long-term residence permit, which I will cover in a couple seconds. The long-term visa always must have an official purpose of stay, the same as the short-term visas, but with the difference that for long-term visas, the purposes of stay are kind of limited because they are governed not by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but by Ministry of Interior. And the Ministry of Interior has only like a couple of reasons or purposes of stay they accept. So it's usually employment, business, family reunification, culture, studies, or so-called other purpose of stay. If you don't fit under any other category, you can apply for other and hope that the ministry will be fine with that and that they will grant you the visa. So that was the long-term visa. Now, if you long-term residence permit in the Czech Republic, either if you have the long-term visa already and you want to stay longer than the 1 year, you can apply for a long-term residence permit. In some cases, you can also apply for a long-term residence permit directly through an embassy. That mainly applies, for example, for an employee card. So if your purpose of stay in the Czech Republic is employment, you cannot apply for a long-term visa with the purpose of employment because it doesn't exist. But you can apply for a long-term residence permit with the purpose of employment, and you will get so-called employee card. So in general, the long-term residence permit always follows the long-term visa under the same purpose. So if you get a long-term visa as a business owner, you can get a residence permit as a business owner. You cannot really switch from a long-term visa as a student to long-term residence permit as a business. So you can, but there are like many rules about that. So generally it goes like that you first get a long-term visa and then you apply for a long-term residence permit under the same purpose. But sometimes, as mentioned, you can directly apply for the residence permit without the need of having the long-term visa. But it depends on the purpose of your stay. The maximum validity of the residence permit is 2 years. It's you get kind of like a plastic biometric card with your fingerprints, photos, your digital signature and everything. And it's kind of like a strong type of residence permit in the Czech Republic. The maximum validity of it's 2 years. but it's extendable. So if you stay here, for example, for 2 years as an employee of a company and you want to stay longer, you can extend the validity of the residence permit for another 2 years, and you can keep doing it like this as long as you keep the same purpose of stay. You can, under some conditions, also change the purpose of stay, but it's not that easy, and I covered that in one of my previous videos. So if you jump into this one and you're interested in this topic, go to my YouTube and look for, I believe it was the last one, or maybe like two videos ago. You can find it on my Facebook, or in my Facebook group, Expats in CZE Help and Support group. You can, if you follow me on TikTok or Instagram, I made a shorter version of that there as well. So that was the long-term residence permit. And if you've been living here for long enough, you can also apply for a permanent residence permit, which is kind of a game changer, especially for non-EU citizens, because the permanent residency basically means that you will never be kicked out of the country. It's like a permanent status, and as long as you are not becoming like a very big criminal or something, you will never be kicked out from the Czech Republic. And it's also one of the mandatory steps for obtaining Czech citizenship. So, and it changes many other things. I did another video about the advantages of having the permanent residency, so look it up as well. But in general, you become part of the public healthcare system, and the permanent residency is no longer dependent on any purpose of stay. So you can get employed, you can run your own business, you can go to school, you can live with your family, or you don't have to do anything. The permanent residency is permanent, and you don't have to really do anything. Plus, you get some additional rights like voting rights, and you can get some support from the government, all this. So it has many advantages, and it's really a game changer, or holy grail for most of non-EU citizens who mean it seriously with the Czech Republic. As for how long it takes, in general, to get the permanent residency, you need to stay here for 5 years. In some cases, it can be 2 years if you're, for example, a close family member of an EU citizen. So if you're a spouse of an EU citizen, you can apply in some cases for the permanent residency after 2 years. In some cases, on the other hand, for example, if you're students, student years count as half. So, for example, one year under a student residence permit counts as half a year for the permanent residency. So, if you've been studying the whole time, you would need 10 years to qualify for the permanent residency. And then the next step in the process is obtaining the Czech citizenship. I had another live stream and another set of videos about that. But basically, if you've been living here for long enough, which usually means either 10 years in total or 5 years of having permanent residence permit, and if you're integrated into Czech society, and if you speak Czech and know the history, all this, then you can also apply for Czech citizenship. But that's a bit complicated process. There are plenty of required documents, and it really takes a long time, like a year or two, depending. So I had a different live stream about that. So those were the steps or the types of visas in the Czech Republic based on the validity of the visa. And now I'll go to the topic of the difference between the blue card and the employee card, because people ask us about it a lot. I had this question in my Facebook group, the Expats in CZ Help and Support group. Someone requested this topic, so I'm doing a live stream about this topic as well. Let me just refresh myself. And if you meanwhile have any questions, those of you who are watching, thank you very much, first of all. And second, if you have any questions about the visa types, please type in the questions. I'll answer them right now. And then we'll jump into the topic of the employee card versus the blue card, okay? I'll give you 10 seconds before I drink this. Okay, so that was fast. I don't see any questions. So let's jump right into the topic, which is the difference between an employee card and a blue card. In general, the employee card and the blue card are kind of technically the same thing. They're both meant for one employer, one position. They combine kind of permission to stay in the Czech Republic and permission to work in the Czech Republic on that one specific position. They're both the biometric cards with the maximum validity of 2 years. They're extendable. So it's kind of the same thing. But there are some important differences. And the differences are that the employee card is meant for any type of position. So it can be for a cleaning lady, it can be for a software developer, it can be for a cook, it can be for a general director of a company. It doesn't matter. The position doesn't matter. It can be any position. The employee card is also meant for all salary levels. So if you have the basic salary, like the 15,600 or whatever it's now, you can get an employee card for that. If you have like 80,000 crowns, you can get an employee card. Or if you get like 2 million crowns a month, you can still get an employee card. And it's also not limited to any type of education. So if you have no education at all, you can get an employee card. If you have a high school, you can get an employee card. If you have 3 universities, you can get an employee card. So there are no limitations in that. So from this perspective, the employee card is more flexible. On the other hand, the blue card has some limitations. For example, the blue card is only meant for people who have at least bachelor's degree. So if you don't have bachelor's degree, then you cannot get an employee card. And the second condition is that your salary, your monthly salary, must be at least equivalent to 1.5 of a Czech average salary for that particular year. So this year it's around 54,000 crowns. So if your salary is higher than 54,000 crowns a month gross, then you can get the blue card. If it's not higher than that, you will have to go for the employee card because you would not qualify for the blue card. And why people talk about the blue card so much? Because it has some advantages as well. It has limitations to filter the amount of people who can apply for it. On the other hand, it has some advantages as well. And the advantages are mainly that it's easier for you to get your family here. I will not go much into details, but it's easier if you want to bring your family with you. Also, if you want to move to other EU countries, it's easier with the blue card because the blue card is kind of proving that you're a highly qualified, skilled worker, and all the EU countries are kind of fine with that and will be happy to get you the blue card there as well. So that's one of the main advantages there. So those were the differences between the employee card and blue card. Technically, it's the same. The application process is the same. The documents you need to collect are basically the same. The process is the same for your employer, for yourself. Just these differences that employee card is meant for any type of position, any type of salary, any type of education. Blue card requires at least bachelor's degree and at least 1.5 of the average Czech salary, which in 2021 is around 54,000 crowns. So if your salary is not that high, you cannot get the blue card. So those were the main differences. And now again, time for your questions. So if you follow me, which I believe some of you do, because I see some familiar names here. So you know that if you don't have any questions, I will be doing this kind of dance for a bit before I end the live stream. So please, if you don't want to see me dancing, which you don't really, then ask some questions. And I see that I have one. Do I need to work at least 6 months to get blue card? How do you mean it exactly, Neeraj? Because there is the limitation for employee cards. If you have an employee card, you need to stay with the first employer who got you the employee card for at least 6 months. So you cannot change employer within the first 6 months. There are some exceptions where you can do it. For example, if your health doesn't allow you to execute the job, then you can switch. But okay, Swagatika, just give me a second. I will let you in. I'll just finish the sentence and then I'll let you in. So for the employee card, it's like this, that there is the limitation. It's kind of a protection of the employers, because what used to happen in the past was that some employer got you an employee card, you came to the Czech Republic, received the employee card, and then immediately you changed employer and went to work usually for some agency. So the company invested a lot of money, a lot of time into you, and then you just like disappear to some other company. So the government changed this. So for the employee card, you have to stick with the first employer who got you the employee card for 6 months. There is no such limitation for a blue card. So hopefully this answered your question. Niraj? If not, please feel free to elaborate and I will explain more. And let me see if I now can invite Swagatika to join. I've never done that before, so I don't know how it works. And you guys on YouTube will probably not see that, but you on Facebook, I'll see, because I've never added anyone into the talk. So let's see if it works out now. Swagatika, are you there? It's like doing something. It says add in, but I'm not sure if she'll add or he'll add. Okay, so it didn't work out. So anyway, Niraj, I understood now. Perfect. Maybe one thing also, you can switch from the employee card to the blue card in theory, and the other way around. But people usually don't do that, because if you already get the employee card, you can access all the jobs available for employee cards. If you got the blue card, you have some higher qualification, higher salary expectation. So you will find a position which is available for blue card holders as well. So it's usually like that. And then once you, for the employee card, for example, change of employer, if you've been here longer than 6 months, you can change employer, but there is some process behind that. You, for example, the new job also needs to be advertised through the labor office. It needs to get the number from the labor office. You need to inform the Ministry of the Interior about the change at least 30 days in advance. You only have 60 days to change the employer, otherwise your employee card will be canceled. There are many rules like that. I believe I did a video about that as well. So hopefully that was helpful, Niraj. And let's see, Swagatika requested to join again. So let me try again. I'm calling my partner here on family reunification visa. Can she work on this visa? Okay, Swagatika then has a question as well, but she or he, I don't know, doesn't want to come to live. Okay. All right. So Niraj, I'm calling my partner here on family reunification visa. Oh, okay. Swagatika. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. We cannot see you. We can only see the ceiling. But if you have any questions, please ask.
Actually, I'm a student. So when can I apply for a blue card, employee card?
If you're here under any type of visa, so it can be the student visa or it can be any other type of visa, you can apply for the employee card anytime, basically. There is no limitation.
Okay.
You just need to, just the job needs to like comply with all the conditions. So the job needs to be advertised through the labor office for 30 days to get a special number. You need to submit the application to the Ministry of the Interior, submit all the required documents and everything. And there is the approval process. And only once the employee card is approved, you can like quit your studies and like start in the job. But there is no limitations in terms of when you can do it. You can, even if you came here yesterday, as long as you already hold the residence card or a visa in your passport and you find employer who is willing to help you in the process, you can switch to the employee card anytime.
So can my husband come and work independent? And when can I apply for dependent?
Yeah, okay, that's a good question, because I believe Niraj had the same, that I'm calling my partner here on family reunification visa. Can she work on this visa? How it works is that there are two. I did a video about it as well. So either join my subscribe on YouTube or find me on TikTok, and I have a video exactly about this. Like I have a short video comparing the types of visa where you can work and you cannot work. But I'll explain now here as well. There are two types of family reunification. One is a family reunification visa, and one is a family reunification residence permit. Family reunification visa is easier to get. It's pretty simple. As long as you already have a valid residence permit or a long-term visa in the Czech Republic, your spouse will be allowed to come here basically 100% if you submit all the required documents and nothing is missing, everything is good. But if you get the visa, just a sticker in your passport, your spouse cannot work, cannot get employed. They can get a trade license, for example, and they can work for as a freelancer, as a freelancer basically. So that's possible. And if they find a job, they can apply for an employee card as well. That's possible as well. But the visa itself, the family reunification visa, doesn't allow them to get employed. On the other hand, you can also apply under some conditions. You can apply for a long-term residence permit with a family reunification purpose of stay. And once your spouse gets the family reunification residence permit, they can work. They're allowed to get employed. But the approval process there can take up to 270 days. And there are some limitations for that. For example, for after how long they can apply for it. So if you need your spouse to be here, or if you want your spouse to be here as soon as possible, then go for the visa, because that's usually approved faster and like it's easy process. But in that case, the spouse will not be really able to work only under the trade license or switch to the employee card later. If you don't really care when they will come, but you care that they will be able to start working from day one, then wait for the residence permit and apply for the residence permit, because that allows them to work.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you as well for joining. I'm happy we did this because it's my first time with the split screen and everything, so I'm happy I experienced it already.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you as well. Have a good night.
Good night.
So Neeraj, I believe I answered your question as well with this. And let me see if there are some other questions. I don't see any. So guys, I will give you, okay, Bastrian. Can I ask? Of course you can ask. This is my situation. My current employer is an agency and I've been working for them for 3 months. Now I want to change my agency. Is it possible? Okay, so there are 2 rules about this. First rule is that you cannot change your employer sooner than after 6 months after you got the first employee card. So if you've only been working for them for 6 months or 3 months, then you cannot really change employer. But you have 3 months to go, and then you will be able to do that. So that's fine. On the other hand, your new employer can never be an agency. So if you came here under agency, that's fine, but your next employer cannot be an agency. Another agency, nothing. You always need to find like a proper employer, let's say, because the new employer cannot be agency, and you cannot even be their own employee, not an employee which they will be sending to some other places, but you cannot be even their own employee. If you wanted to be a general director of the agency, like working for the agency, not being deployed to somewhere else, you cannot do that either. That was put into the change of the law in 2019 as well, probably to protect employers as well. But unfortunately, there are 2 limitations. So you cannot change employer until you've been here for 6 months under the employee card. And second, the new employer cannot be an agency. So unfortunately, there are 2 limitations in your case. Okay, guys, some more questions. Because again, as I mentioned, if I don't have any questions, I still want to wait because you might be typing or something, but I always do this kind of strange dance. Mayank, question. Thank you very much. Okay, but Bastrian, I've been here for 4 years, by the way. That's fine. It depends for how long you had the employee card. If you had the employee card since the beginning, so you've had the employee card for 4 years, then you're fine. You can change the employer. It still cannot be an agency, but you can change the employer. But if you've got an employee card and you have the first employee card for 3 months only, then unfortunately you cannot change it. It's always like the first employee card, first employer, you need to stick with them for 6 months. Okay, Mayank. Do you comment in general lead time in processing of long-term residence permit versus long-term visa under family reunification from embassy? Basically, I want to know which one is approved faster. Yeah, definitely the long-term visa is faster because it's a simple process. Just a couple of documents needed. The official approval time is 60 to 90 days. So the long-term visa is definitely approved faster. As mentioned before, the disadvantage of that is that your spouse cannot work under the visa. They can get a trade license and work as freelancers, or they can switch to an employee card if they find an employer who's willing to support them, but they cannot get employed under the family reunification visa. The long-term residence permit is better because it can be given for up to 2 years based on your residence card, and it usually allows them to get employed from day one. but there are some limitations on how you can get it or when you can get it. The first limitation is that, for example, in general, if you have, for example, a student visa or business visa, your spouse can get the long-term residence permit only after you being here for at least 15 months. So if you haven't been here for 15 months, the ministry, you can apply, but the ministry will not approve it until you reach 15 months under a student visa or business visa. This time is shortened for employee card holders to 6 months. So if you have an employee card and you want to bring your spouse, the spouse can apply for the residence permit, the family reunification residence permit, after 6 months of you being here under the employee card. And for blue card holders, it's 0 months. So basically, your spouse can apply directly with you for the long-term residence permit as the family member. So it depends on your situation. But generally, the ministry has, and of course, if you've met the condition of the 15 months or 6 months or 0 months, then the approval doesn't really need to take 270 days. It can be faster as well. But if you haven't been here the required time, the ministry has up to 270 days to wait for you to reach the time and then approve the application. So it depends on the situation. Generally, the visa is approved faster, but doesn't allow your spouse to work. The residence permit takes longer, but then in most cases, it allows them to work. So hopefully this was good enough explanation. Bastian, I've just got my new employee card today. So congratulations. How do you feel? Like first now you need to stick to the employer for 6 months. On the other hand, I believe it's a good feeling to have the employee card. So for 2 years. So I guess you're happy about that. So still some more time for your questions. I'm happy that you're commenting and that you're asking, because that's actually great, and it shows that you're interested in my topic. So, or in my topics and in my knowledge and experience. So thank you very much for that. Of course, please follow me everywhere. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, and here on Facebook. So please, if you have all these channels, find me there. Support me there. I really appreciate it, because I still don't have that many followers. I have many, especially on TikTok, but I still see all the new ones. So I appreciate each of one of you. Bastian, no, my agency didn't give me a job for now. Didn't give me a job. So you have an employee card, but you don't have a job. So don't tell anyone. And hopefully they will have something for you soon, because first there are some rules that you need to work for some time if you have the employee card. Second thing is, obviously, if you don't have a job, that's not really good to have the employee card anyway. So hopefully that will be sorted soon. That's why I'm looking for a new employer. Okay, so yeah, there are some exceptions, but when you can change sooner, but it's usually just like, it must be serious. So either they can kind of cancel the employment with you, or you can do it, but mainly from the health reasons, that you're not physically able to execute the job. So that, unfortunately, that's not really a good situation for you. But definitely make sure that, because once you quit your job, if you have the standard employee card, if you studied, you have a Czech diploma, and you have the non-dual employee card, it's different. You can stay without the job for a bit longer. But if you have the standard employee card, so-called dual employee card, you can only be without the job for 60 days. So just keep in mind that you need to find a new employer, or you need to sort out the situation really, really soon, if it's the normal employee card. Okay, guys, any more questions? Or just if you want to share something, your story, or ask me some questions of whatever type. Otherwise, I will again be dancing like this, and I'll be finishing the live stream shortly, because we've been here for half an hour, which is longer than usual. And I really, really thank you for that, because it really shows that you're interested in that. So I'm happy to provide some knowledge and some experience to you. But if you don't have any more questions, I'll be finishing the live stream. Thank you very much. I hope that was for my dancing skills. Probably not, but anyway. So let's say 20 more seconds. If you have some questions, please type them in. I'll be happy to answer them. If not, then in 15 seconds, I'll be finishing the call. Yeah, it's too late for my brain already. I will finish in the live stream. But again, If you have any questions, get in touch. I have my contacts everywhere, I believe. I also am on all the social media platforms, so please find me there, follow me if you appreciate the content, and see you next time. I do live streams every Monday and every Thursday. It's always simultaneously on Facebook and on YouTube, and it stays on both the platforms. So if you're part of my group, Expats in CZ help and support group on Facebook, then the video will always be there, the recording. If you follow me or subscribe to me on YouTube, the video stays there as well. And then I make shorter bits and share them on TikTok and Instagram. Okay, guys, thank you very much for watching. It was great to answer your questions and to communicate with you. It's really like nice. And see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.